So David, let's talk about the last season, about Nico Rosberg winning. Do you think it was a deserved win? Why or why not?
Well, he won by scoring more points than anyone else, and he was up against arguably one of the greatest drivers that the sport's ever seen. There's always going to be a case of looking at, had Lewis's engine not blown up in Malaysia, had something else not happened somewhere else. But isn't this the journey of sport? And without the conversation afterwards in the pub, people going, the referee should never have blown the whistle there. You know, this is what carries the sport contest from one event to the next event. And in the end, without respect, there is no sporting contest, because sport is defined by a set of rules. And within the set of rules that we have, and within the opportunity that was presented to the two drivers, Nico had a better season. So I think it's reflected in the fact that, having finally beat Lewis, he's now retired because he's achieved his goal, rather than what we all would have expected. It would be to, to be frank, to sort of cash in on the business success of winning a world championship, to honour his contract with Mercedes, which he had already in place, and to defend his title. He's decided, I want to spend more time, wife, family, kids, and live a different life.
So now that he has retired, does that mean that Lewis Hamilton is going to be the best driver out there left?
Well, it all comes down to who produces the best car, and from there you have two drivers with the best opportunity to then go win that world championship. I don't think anyone would argue that Fernando Alonso is the equal of Lewis Hamilton, Vettel, young Max Verstappen on his way up, Daniel Ricciardo. There's many drivers that would be considered in that elite group of exceptional performances. All of the drivers are good, whether they were in the Manor or whether they were in the Mercedes, but it's of course the Mercedes drivers have the best opportunity to show their skills because they have a better team package, a better car, a better engine. So that's the slightly distracting element of any team sport. You can say there's always going to be standout performances. So whatever footballer, Ronaldo stands out as an exceptional player, but he needs his team to feed him the ball for him to score the goal. And if he had a weak team, he would struggle to ever get that opportunity. So it's the same in Formula One, but it's a technology sport. It's more complex. And right now, Mercedes have been producing the best package.
It looks like it needs to be very interesting going forward as well. There's been a lot of changes in the F1. Bernie Ecclestone perhaps getting edged out of his position, his role. What do you think about that and about the new management coming in?
Yeah, Bernie going is, I think, a big surprise to many people involved in the sport. But Liberty have invested heavily in Formula One, and they've done so because they see, like in every business or sport, they see the opportunity to get a return on that investment. And if you keep sort of using the same ingredients for the cake, you get the same cake every time out of the oven. So if you want a different outcome, you need different ingredients. And arguably that starts at the top. So they have, they've put Bernie to one side or elevated him into the sort of senior overview position without really, an advisory role rather than a day-to-day hands-on business. And Bernie is a divisive character who, from my point of view and the business that I did with him, which was very limited towards, being a driver, a pawn in the game of Formula One, then I found him fantastic to deal with. I'm sure there's others that have other stories to tell. But it's a brave new world, Liberty Media, the American understanding of how to really maximise the fan experience. If you watch the Super Bowl, then that's more than just a sporting contest. You've got this amazing celebration of people coming together in the gladiatorial form on the field. So they want to do that with Formula One, and I think in many ways we've lost a little element of that in the last few years because we've become very save the planet conscious with the hybrid formula. We've become very health and safety conscious because of the tragedy of Jules Bianchi's fatality in Japan. And of course, you don't want anyone to be killed in a sport. But the reality is in life, it's dangerous. And in entering a motorsport, you've already conceded the fact that that element of danger is part of the attraction. So there's a number of elements that we need to shake up and understand how best to package Formula One going forward, because I have an 8-year-old son, and if he's not watching Formula One and he tells me he'd like to be a Formula One driver, then there's something missing in that engagement of what they see and what they would like to do. And I don't have the answer, but I'm hoping Liberty do, and I'll come back from broadcasting at a Grand Prix and my son will tell me he watched the race or he was somehow part of the race, and you know, you really can have that feeling that the next generation are getting tuned into the sport.